Welcome to Daddies, the podcast. This week we have a special guest on the show, Adam Wedd. Adam, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure. Lovely to meet you guys. Thanks for having me.
Would you mind telling us and our listeners a bit about yourself?
My name is Adam Wedd. I am a songwriter, producer from London, UK, and I'm enjoying your podcast, and I feel really lucky to be on it, so thank you so much.
I think you reached out after we did we connect after we did the episode with Jarrett and Gary from Bowling for Soup? Is that how we crossed?
Yeah, that's when I became aware of you guys.
Yep.
And then I listened to your episode in about the Vegas trip and Thanksgiving, because I just got back. I was in the US for that time, and I was like, oh, this is kind of in real time but not real time. And then I felt like I bonded. You didn't know we bonded, but I bonded
we
by
did.
listening to- Yeah.
Well, it's fascinating, and I'm glad we were able to connect. You have a very interesting story, so if you want to kind of tell us,
Sure. So I grew up in London, and I come from a family of car mechanics on my mum's side and my dad's side. So my uncle, my granddad, even my girlfriend is better at fixing cars than me. And then I am a musician, and that's what I've kind of done on and off. For a lot of my 20s, I worked with kids that were kicked out of school, and I sort of did music on the side. And some of those part-time shows I did at that time were with people like Ed Sheeran and some of the guys from Bastille, and lots of people sort of making music that are now playing arenas and stadiums. And I'm like, I work at the bar at a famous studio in London called Abbey Road, which was made famous by the Beatles, but was famous before then because it's where stereo was invented, which is pretty epic. If you come to London at some point, I'll show you around.
Yes.
But many times in my career, I've tried to sort of give up music and be sensible. Mm-hmm. And then I get a job at Abbey Road, or I meet someone and they're like, why are you going to give this up? You're too good at this. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll make an album. So I'm kind of in this phase now where I'm like, I'm going to make an album. It's like serendipity has got involved, so I'm just following this thing through. And I don't know. That's a very small nutshell version.
So let's backpedal a little bit. So the you sent me a video today, and on the, I guess if you're watching the video, on the left side or right side of you is Ed Sheeran.
Yeah. I don't know who that is. I think he works in like Walmart now or something.
I think I've heard that name before.
Yeah.
He was in Game of Thrones, that one episode of Game of Thrones.
That's it.
I remember that guy.
Yeah.
So,
best remembered for.
As made famous, yes.
A scene.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So that was kind of nuts. Like in my late teens, we used to run some open mic nights around London, and I had this message from Ed on MySpace. That's how long ago it was, and he came along to play some of the shows that we put on, and then we ended up playing a bunch of shows together. And he was a fan of a band that I played in. And then at one point, my guitarist couldn't turn up for a music video. He was busy. So his famous thing that my guitarist friend says, he's called Dan Hoyes, and he says that Ed Sheeran once played me in a music video, which is exactly what happened, because Ed was the only person that replied to a text, and he turned up. And testament to how hard he works, he never said no to anything. And we did a whole bunch of shows together. And then I got married, and I had two wonderful kids who I'm actually picking up in the morning. And he was meant to play our wedding, actually, but my wife at the time wanted to have a harp player instead, so I had to sort of be like, sorry, Ed, we don't want you to play.
Could you imagine passing up on Ed Sheeran for the harp?
Not to say that there's anything wrong with the harp player.
The harp was wonderful. It was very sweet. But I was like, could you do any Ed Sheeran covers? No, sorry.
Right.
And if you're gonna have a harp play anywhere, I guess it's got to be a wedding.
It's got to be a wedding.
Absolutely.
Right?
You don't have a harpist at a funeral, right?
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, probably.
I guess you could.
Yeah. Sure. Well, funny, my dad did say, because I've had like stuff on like TV shows and been played on radio and stuff, and I'm obviously not a household name, but my dad, every now and again, he tries to comfort me. He's like, it's okay, Ad. When you die one day, maybe then your music will take off. I'm like, oh, thanks, Dad. That is wise words.
Just what I want to hear.
Yeah. Proverbs from Mr. Wedd. He also said, the thing is with your music, Adam, and bear in mind, I want to write pop music. He's like, the thing is with your music is so great, but he sometimes needs 5 or 6 listens, and I'm like, oh great, that's exactly what I need to be doing. Anyway, enough about my dad. Well, he's a wonderful soul.
So I was going through the comments, and I don't know if this is accurate, but someone was like, wait, this dude was like the sub in my English class.
Oh yeah, that happens. Well, yeah, so what happened was, for a while I worked as a substitute teacher.
Sure.
And it's a bit like being on stage, and I really enjoyed it, because I remember as a kid, like, I don't know about you guys, but we gave our substitute teachers a really hard time. And I was like, I know they're going to try and do that with me, but I'm not going to be that guy, because I know what's going to make them tick. All they want from me is for me to say, guys, we're going to finish 10 minutes early and we're going to play a game. That seemed to keep them pretty sweet. But in my back pocket, I had this sort of, once upon a time, Mr. Wedd did play with a little known singer called Ed Sheeran. And they were like, what? I'm not bound with your work, otherwise you won't hear anything else. But like, it was kind of a fun time, because I would cover like English classes, Latin classes, a lot of music classes. And because all the lesson plans were already sort of done. And I would like teach by day and then play some shows in the evening. And but I really loved it. I really enjoyed it. And I didn't realize they ended up finding me on the YouTube.
Yeah, well, so that was like the top comment. And well, it's funny you say that. So my wife's a teacher. And
sweet.
You know, she was like, I just want a day where I can just like be at home with nobody and I just want to sleep all day. And she was like, but the problem is it's easier to go to work because of how much time and thought has to go into the lesson plans. Yeah. So like, it's easier just to fucking go in, you know? But I was an asshole to substitute you. And I don't know why, like what the reasoning behind it was, because maybe I guess we thought we could.
Because they don't know what you were doing and what you're allowed to do. Oh, well, the teacher usually lets us
you're kind of testing those boundaries.
Blow spitballs.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Absolutely.
Like all teachers.
Yeah,
That's
right.
Yeah. So I had loads of fun with that, because I was like, as they were queuing up, and they were sort of like whispering, like, "Oh, we have a supply teacher. Best we call it supply teacher in the UK," and I was like, "Oh, they don't know whether I'm going to be strict or fun." And I was kind of a mixture of both, because boundaries are great, but also you want to have fun.
Sure.
So every now and again, I'd be like, "Quiet," and then I'd be like, "So we're gonna have some fun today," and they're like, "Who is this kind of like schizophrenic guy?"
but you think about it too, like, okay, so you're in school and all you want to do is be done and grow up. Yeah. And then you grow up and you're like, fuck, how easy was it when we were back?
That school thing was so pretty great.
Like, I could just, if I could, like, that's so much better.
Sure.
But so, but honestly, the song is great. And so my wife and I were listening to it, and I actually listened to it twice. And so
you need about 3 more times for it to really
3 to 4 more times before
catch on.
It really.
Mr. Wedd, he said that. He's gonna kill me.
Do you still keep in touch with Ed Sheeran?
I haven't heard from him for a very long time. We have a few mutual friends, and every now and again I see them pop up in pictures with him. He does cool stuff, like he bought a kebab shop that everyone used to go to that was going to go under, so he kept it open. But like, I haven't seen him for, what are we, 2024? Like, probably like 10 or 11 years, a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm sure he's probably busy.
Last time I saw him, this is topical for the podcast as well. Last thing I said was, I just my daughter's just been born, and I'm really getting into like growing like lawns now, like grass, like like. And he's like, oh man, that's gangster. I was like, yeah, I know. And then he said we should do a beer sometime, and I never heard from him ever again.
He said, "Oh, the lawn guy."
That's me.
So how did you then kind of find yourself at like Abbey Road Studios?
Yeah. So I used to work at another studio, another commercial studio in London, and I was on night reception, which it feels like a whole thing. But I stopped working there. It was pandemic, and then one of my best friends, she said, "Would you like to work at world famous Abbey Road Studios?" I was like, "Hell yeah!" So I got suited and booted, went in, they sat me in the garden. There's this nice little garden there. I had a glass of wine, and they were pretty much like, "When can you start?" And I was like, "Oh, this is a good interview. It's one of these kind of golden handshake things." Because it's obviously who you know. And I was like, and that was it. And I just make the tea, and sometimes I make some cocktails and stuff, and mainly for the orchestra, but occasionally for some other like artists and stuff. But like, it's been one of the best things, because more than the history of music for me, it's the community there. It's like a little musical members club. It's like friggin'. Sure. I'm such a lucky little man. That's good. Yeah.
So like, I just always assume like if you're recording there, like it's is it expensive? Is it one of the like? Is it?
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably like I always just assume like, oh yeah, that's like I have a record label backing me, so I can
Yeah.
It's Premiere. If you can say that you recorded
Yeah.
there, it's going to mean something.
Yeah. It is expensive. They do have like very small rooms, and it's definitely affordable because I know people that have recorded there and they're not on a label, but I think it's almost like a year's worth of savings type thing. It's yeah. I mean, I don't want to comment too much on that side because I don't work in that, but I know it is. But Studio One is like 120 capacity orchestra wise, and
oh wow.
And if you're hiring that, you usually want an orchestra, so that's like at least like $500 a person, and it's like 100 plus.
Wow!
So that's just not even with the room. So, but yeah, I think it's pricey, but I can definitely get you into the bar. Like we can have a drink.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. That sounds great. Yeah, I was like, well,
That's all I'd do there anyway.
Yeah, right.
I could have been doing that there right now, but I came back to talk to you guys. So it's saved my liver.
Yeah.
My liver is safe for one more night. It's good.
Well, did you also say you had a show? Did you play a show tonight?
I was meant to play one, but it was meant to be a small show in Shoreditch, and the promoter he promoted it yesterday, so that started off well. Like it was meant to be yesterday, and then I didn't think they sold many tickets, so I just I said I'm not going, so it's fine. So but I've been working this since 7 a.m. this morning, and it's 10 p.m. now, and so I finished there about 4 o'clock, and I was meant to go straight onto the show, but I decided this would not be a good use of time.
That's man. When you were like, yeah, I'll definitely like talk to you tomorrow. This was like yesterday, and I was like, wow, that's gonna be late, and you got a long day. So
I've done it before. I've done it before, and like sometimes like when the opportunities come along, and this is such a lovely thing for me to do. But like you just do it and you make it work, and if you have to find a little room in the corner somewhere and you take all your gear and you do it, but like this show, like it wouldn't have been worthwhile me going to do it. Sometimes if there's like 50 people, or I've played other venues where there's like 500 or 800 or whatever, but like when there's like 5 or 10, I think that's how many tickets they sold. I was just like, I don't think I can do this one today.
It'd probably be kind of awkward, right?
I don't mind doing it. I was just absolutely knackered, so I was like, oh, knackered. You have it? Yeah. So like,
sure.
You know what though? I love like when we have a place here or we used to have a place here in Delaware called the Harmony Grange. Eric, I feel like the Harmony Grange it's popped up. The
Harmony Grange, if you put like buzzwords from our show up, Harmony Grange would be very large.
And so Adam, the Harmony Grange here was like My Chemical Romance came through before they were big, brand new from first to last. I remember seeing like Armor for Sleep, Our Last Night, like like if you were in a band here in Delaware, and so like I used to play in bands when I was in like high school, and if you could play there, it was going to be the shit because the headliner was always someone like Paramore, right?
That's
like,
wicked.
And it was 500 people capacity. I'll send you some pictures after this of how cool it was. A small little intimate Grange. It has since closed down because they didn't have a bathroom.
Okay.
So I guess that'll get you. Or they had a bathroom, but it wasn't like, I guess you need X amount of bathrooms per, you know.
That's what you call a sensory experience. Like, right. Stick a piss. It's like,
But
we have some bars like that.
I remember playing a show with this band. I don't know if you've ever Aiden, and they were off of Victory Records, and there were maybe 10 people there.
Yeah.
And it was so fucking awesome because it was like, like they're like, you know, so close, and now like you know, I haven't been to a small intimate show like that in forever. Every time I go to a concert, you know, there's a ton of people, but those intimate shows,
I love them.
Fucking sweet.
I absolutely love them. Last year, I made a pact with myself. I was like, last year is I'm gonna not say no to any shows, like unless I've got my kids or like something like family way. Like, I'm not gonna say no, and I did some shows, and some of the stories I could tell you because I was like, I'm not gonna say no, so So I played like this festival last year, which is it's called Goodwood normally, which is for cars, like famous
Goodwood
vintage cars. Yeah, you heard of this track? It's like a
no.
Okay, it's a cool space. It's worth checking out. But I played the dog version, Goodwoof. It's thousands of dogs, and so I did 2 days. I did 2 3-hour sets on a weekend, and my voice was pretty fucked. But then I also did like another show that I didn't say no to, which was a life drawing class. And basically they were like, could you come and play this play this show. It's a live drawing class. You want some music? I'm like, you know what? I'm an adult. This is okay. I'm not going to laugh like naked people.
Yeah, sure.
So I arrived ready just to play some music, and there was this beautiful black model. And the host said, well, I'm glad you're here. Here's a space for you to get changed. And I was like, what do you mean get changed? And she was like, well, yeah, because you're going to be naked too. And I was like, whoa.
Oh, it was one of those shows. Okay.
Well, fold the guitar up over your crotch.
Well, my guitar's quite big, which needn't be, but it is. And
I just need a ukulele and I'm cool.
You know? Yeah, I play the piccolo. It's like, you know. But like the funny thing is, she was like, you can wear this sheet, you know, because we appreciate maybe this was sprung on you. And I was like, you know what, I'm not a prude.
You're doing it. Yeah,
I stepped up.
You're gonna see my dick and you're gonna like it.
Yeah.
Well, I just walked really quick and I played my music, and then at the end they kind of put the pictures up on the wall, and they made me look great, like very generous, like really. I think they're elaborating. Maybe it's a Picasso type class. I don't know. Anyway, that's enough of that. Last year I didn't say no to any shows. This year I figured I should say no to some a little more, and anyway. It's the end of my
you know
anecdote.
what we learned that saying no is
saying no is saying yes to yourself,
and that's You know
Maybe
what?
I should have done that night.
Hashtag William Hung.
Yeah, that's what he says. That's what he said to us, at least.
That's what he said to us.
Nice.
And no,
Very
but I mean, it's true.
motivational.
Like we were going through this period where we were saying yes to everybody.
Okay.
And it was getting so demanding.
Okay.
And granted, like, you know, we were doing only 2 or 3 of these a week, and it was still a fucking lot.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah, it's a
everyone,
lot.
Yeah, we don't want to burn out or
and it
get
was
too
just
repetitive.
It was getting repetitive, and people were like, well, like you can only talk to like so many.
Yeah, it was my
people.
wife. She said, hey, the episodes lately, you talked to like 3 soap makers 3 weeks in a row. Like, what's going on? I'm not in. I said, those episodes are not for you. You know, I understand you're not into the artisan soap community.
Yeah.
But we were going through
That's
this
amazing.
period where it was, and it just happened to fall that we were like interviewing people from like the same field. So it was like soap makers, and then it was musicians, and then it was puppet, like like puppet people.
Yeah, that's funny because musicians and like puppet people need the soap because we're filthy. Like, it's like
So we actually did a collaboration with a company based out of Texas for a beard oil. And
nice.
And you know, I'm huge into, like, I love fucking artisan soaps and beard oils, and like I have 4 just like sitting right here just because, you know.
That's amazing. You said no ads, but look at these bad boys.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, I did not.
yeah.
Brought to you.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, hold on, Greg. Just scoot your seat back a little bit. You have a Dapper Yankee, that's a soap shirt. You've got a Valhalla hat,
my God.
which is more soap.
It's like that scene from Wayne's World when they're doing the promos and he's like drinking the Pepsi and eating the pizza.
One of these.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call you Slippery Greg. It's like,
Well, you know what? And like I tried to slip in I got the vinyl. We talked with this band. Eric, are they out of Seattle, I think?
I forget.
Yes, Place for Owls. And then we talked to, anytime people give me stuff or I buy stuff from, this is the designated area now. I'm
That
going to
is
figure something
great.
out with that. But yeah, I need to probably get better at my ad placement.
this will be the last mention of him, but who you should have on is my father. He is a big soap lover, and it's kind of a little funny because he's kind of this like burly kind of like mechanic, and me and my girlfriend are like, what should we have for Christmas? Oh yeah, he's gonna love this girly like flowery soap. He loves it. So like, he's gonna,
You know what? Okay, the black stuff.
Okay, is that good?
Great. We had John, who's actually the CEO. They're based out of Ireland. Really,
Wow.
like, he's a really cool dude. The soaps are like,
God damn it,
not
don't
that
pull
I
it when you have
pulling
one right
that
in
from
front of
the-
you. Are you doing this from your
Wow.
bathroom? Like,
That is the best
okay,
thing
but
I've
like,
seen.
it just happened to be here. Like, I just haven't put them away yet. Black stuff is great. There's Valhalla is great.
Nice.
But I'm not getting paid to say this, I promise.
No,
I
maybe you
spend
will.
the fucking money. But if he's into soaps, the black stuff would probably be the easiest to get to you.
I'll feed
I
it
don't
back.
know if like the other guys, since they're all like US kind of small companies,
over the
they
pond,
ship
I
over
believe.
the
I believe
pond.
it's called, right? Is that where we are? Is over the pond, across the
You
pond?
know what?
Yeah.
I do have to
that's-
ask Adam.
yeah.
All right, so you've been to the States, like you've been to
Yeah.
America.
Yeah.
and you've had our breakfast.
Yeah. All of it.
So if I go to the UK though,
Yeah.
I can get baked beans for breakfast.
Yeah. Do you like baked beans?
I do, but I don't know if I like them for breakfast.
Wow.
Yeah, it kind of fucks my brain up.
Do you know what? Baked beans are really, really good on toast with eggs and pepper, like or scrambled egg. It's great. It works really well.
Our coworker Wes says beans on toast all the time. That's like his catchphrase.
Is that like
like beans on toast? Beans on People used to say
that's
that
what he's.
here. Yeah.
I don't. Is that a saying or something?
I think it was in the 90s, but long live that saying. That's great. I really like beans on toast. It goes really well with cheese as well on top. But hey, if you come and stay with us, we have some IKEA beds and we'll make you some, and you can yay or nay it or something.
Do you? And then the blood sausage.
Oh, I'm not so much a fan of that one. Yeah, it's the blood part, and sausage shouldn't be blood.
Well, because like I always see the meme and it's just like me happy as shit in the UK, and then it's like this dude turning a corner. It's this guy who's like baked beans for fucking breakfast.
Yeah.
Just hitting him in the face. So, but like, what about like? I love fish and chips.
Yeah, I had it today for lunch. Actually,
are they better there than they are here? Would you say?
I haven't had it in the US, but like I had steak in Texas, and you can't compare anything with that. That's the best thing. But I did today. I had beer battered. I sound like a real knob now. Beer battered fish and chips at Abbey Road is what I had today, and it was bloody great. But if you have fish and chips, we had some friends over from Poland recently, and they went for fish and chips because like, oh yeah, fish and chips.
Yeah, right.
And they had it in like London, and you don't get fish in the Thames. Like it's disgusting. So if you want fish and chips, go to one of the seaside towns, and it'll be fresh and it'll be great. The batter's great.
I feel like
not in London.
That's the issue here. Like if you get fish and chips at like a bar, it's going to be a frozen from a bag, just thrown in the fryer, and it's delicious because
after a few beers, it'll taste great.
Well, yeah, us Americans, we love our
it's fried and salty,
fucking fried foods. Like that's what we do.
Yeah.
I was just talking. Eric and I went through this phase where we were deep frying everything. I got a deep fryer for Christmas. Like
it was a little tiny fry daddy.
And
I love that.
We would try. Do you guys have zebra cakes?
No, but I'm intrigued.
Okay, so think of not even a round. It almost looks like a
octagon. It's like an octagon shape, and it's like two teeny tiny cakes laid on top of each other with icing in the middle, and then the whole thing is kind of frosted on the outside and then drizzled with black it's vanilla frosting and then chocolate like drizzle on the top. So we tossed that in did we toss we must have tossed that in like
we battered it.
Batter. Yeah, like funnel cake batter.
I think we were just using pancake mix, and then we were trying to deep fry everything. And I was living in an apartment at that point, and it just smelled the whole fucking apartment like fried food. But we were deep frying everything, and like it was just kind of melting the
now I would recognize to freeze it first, Greg.
We have to try.
If we go back again, let's freeze the zebra cakes first, and then.
Wow, I need to try this if I make it out to Delaware one day.
Yeah, so if you ever come out to Delaware, we got to take you. So we have our state fair, and you can get deep fried sticks of butter.
Ooh.
You can get
Homer Simpson style.
Yes, that is a Simpsons
fattest fucking thing. Like every time I talk about the foods that we eat, it's so fucking bad.
It does sound bad. Well, we don't actually eat that.
In Scotland, they deep fry Mars bars. You know what Mars bar is?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So they do that. That's an actual thing you can get in the shop with your fish and chip. It's like,
wait, like a dessert
on the regular.
Yeah, I've never had it. I want to have it, but apparently my cholesterol's high. But when it goes down,
it's like a reward.
Yeah, you gotta save up those cholesterol points.
Yeah, points. Yeah.
Well, and so I notice here in at least where I live in Delaware, they've been pushing like healthier locations like grocers. So I don't know if you have Sprouts over there, but
I love them.
So they just opened one here,
like today.
Today it opened,
like a store.
Like the store.
No, I.
But that
sounds fun.
So it's a store, but everything is like organic. So like we walked in. The problem is.
Oh, did you go? Did you go to the new one?
And it was so crowded. It was packed. Like they opened today. My wife and daughter, we all went, and you couldn't move. It was so crowded.
Okay.
But the problem is, and I don't know if it's the same for you. Organic food is 5 times more expensive than.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It's so fucking expensive. So a bag of like a bag of apples was like $9.99.
Yeah.
Which is that's just not affordable for a lot of people.
Well, so I just thought it was New York and New Jersey where I was recently, because we were staying with a friend in Manhattan and everything was like $15 for friggin' like, I don't know.
New York is ridiculous, and like especially if you're a smoker. Yeah, I think cigarettes in New York are like probably they have to be close to like $20 a pack.
Yeah. There's people that'll come down. They'll take the 2 hours from New York. They'll take the 2-something hour drive down to Delaware because we're tax-free shopping, so you don't get taxed on anything that you purchase.
I remember
and then they'll smuggle it back up. I mean, technically it is smuggling. You're not supposed to.
You get pulled over with a carton of cigarettes for
serious.
So it becomes
noted.
Yeah, like because you buy a carton of cigarettes for what, $60 here in Delaware. Yeah. You bring it over the lines, and
you piecemeal them. You sell the packs out.
Yep, 15. I'll give you. Hey, he's 20. I got you for 15.
Right. You know what? This isn't cool, but there is a market there for any smart high school kids that want to make some money. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, that's
absolutely, dude. Unethical life. Tips.
It wasn't my idea.
So
unless they make loads of money.
Rebellious teen, high school years, I would buy cigarettes off of like the cool kids, and he'd be like, "Yeah, I got you," and I was like, "Oh my god, cool! How much?" And he's like, $35 a pack. I'm like, "Wow, what a steal!"
Yeah, because you couldn't get them otherwise.
$40, and I would say keep the change as a tip, knowing back then cigarettes were like $6 a pack.
Right,
this motherfucker was was really getting me. But I mean,
that Rolex.
That's just what we did. Yeah, right. But you said you were in New York and you went to the Apple store.
I actually ended up going to like a private little vendor in New Jersey, in Elizabeth, near where family live, and I got my screen fixed because one of my lovely kids, and I won't incriminate which one, it's my son, but I've just got my screen fixed. So like 2 weeks ago, I wouldn't be able to see you guys. I would. For podcasts, I'd be looking over here at my next screen because it was cracked and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And one time I lent my Mac to my kids because I used to like set up a version of Logic and my son would play with it and stuff. And then I came in one day and it was shut and the screen was like broken. I was like, "Oh guys, we need to have a chat." And it's like, someone has like, trod on my screen and it's broken. And I love you guys way more than my Mac, but this is my life. Like every bit of my work's on this. And I was expecting some tears at this point. There was nothing. So I said, well, tomorrow we're going to go together to the Mac store and we're going to hear how much it costs. And it was like $500 or $600. And my son and my daughter were both in tears. I was like, it's okay. No. I love you guys. But we need to look after stuff. And I'm not that great at looking after stuff, so there's no hope for them. Right. But it ended up getting it done in New Jersey for like a couple of $100, which was a steal. Yeah.
If you take it to the Apple, what is it, the Genius Bar or whatever, and they look at it, oh my god. And
they're just gonna say, hey, you just got to buy a new one.
Yeah, that's what everyone was saying. I was like,
the new one just
wrong.
came out with the M4 chip.
Yeah, and you're like, ooh.
Well, and so I'll tell you, we have one of the busiest, if not the busiest, Apple store on the East Coast here in Delaware. And it's because we're tax free.
Wow.
But I went in when Eric and I were kind of in the beginning of starting the podcast journey. We went to the Apple store and I said, hey, my iMac I got it in 2015, so it's almost 10 years old. I need something powerful enough to do video and audio. And the guy was like, you want to get I said, what about the Mac Mini? Would that do it? And I said, would it be able to export like 4K videos? And he was like, not with no issues.
Oh, okay.
A week later.
Oh, he was lying.
Just didn't. Or like 2 weeks later, we were trying to do something and couldn't fucking do it. It wasn't working. So I call up and they're like, well, sorry, that it is what it is. So then I had to go back and buy a MacBook Pro to, but it sounds like you're an Apple guy.
They done got you, Greg.
Eric is anti-Apple.
Okay. Well, I have an Android
except for
phone.
I'm opposite. I have iPhone.
Oh wow, you switch. See, I have an Android phone,
but PC
computer. How do you like the Android? Is that?
I like the phone. I always came from BlackBerry and I tried iPhone and I think I'm very, is it like right-brained or left-brained where I'm very creative anyway, so I need that kind of extra rigid structure, which I feel like if everything was Apple, it would just be like, ooh, creative, if that makes sense. So so I quite like the Android for that reason, because it's like, it's not too flashy, it just does the job, and otherwise I'd be like, I still write songs on it and I'm like, this is funny.
So how does to kind of get back to your music? So how does it sounds like you play a lot of shows? One.
Yes, I do, yeah.
So like, how are you playing shows like every weekend? Do you tour?
So this year, not so much. I've mainly been recording a lot this year, mainly because last year I got to the end of the year and the last gig I did was in Germany, and it was this massive mansion. And after playing hundreds of shows, my voice was really tired. And I didn't realize that this show was like Germany's top hairdressers. So they open the door, cocktail dresses, dressed to the stars and the heavens. And I dress up looking like a hobo as I normally and they found it endearing, apparently. But anyway, on this show, it was a big house gig in this mansion. And some of the notes I couldn't hit. I sounded a lot more like Tom Waits and Bob Dylan that you'd hope to sound like. So I had to get the audience to sing these notes I couldn't hit because it was just squeaking. So this year I did a lot of physio, and now I sing like a canary again. It feels nice. So next year the plan is to play even more shows than last year, like to beat myself. So that's the goal.
Is it just you, or do you have like a band with you?
Yeah, so mostly me. Sometimes I play with a cellist and violin player, but it's just so expensive to tour with everyone. And at my level as independent artist, like it's mainly myself. But if I'm traveling somewhere and there's a musician locally and they're like, "Oh, can I jump up and play something?" Like, we'll do something together.
Okay.
Yeah. But I try to make the audience my instrument. You know, there's a funny video from another show in Germany where I'm like. Because of my German teacher at school, she taught us German in quite an aggressive way, I think because we were dicks a lot of times. So she would say to us, "Ruhe bitte." So I'm like getting 200 Germans to sing my song, and they're doing a great job, but then I want them to sing quieter so that I can sing over the top of what they're singing and we can have a whole moment. So I'm like, "Oh, thanks guys, vielen Dank, Ruhe bitte." And they're like, "Oh, okay, why is he shouting at us?" And then loads of yeah, and I'm like, "Oh, that's my German teacher's fault because she always shouted that at us." But yeah, so anyway, I did shows like that, and I loved it, and it was just me. But I got the audience to sing, and they're kind of like a choir, and to this day, they're the best audience I've ever played in front of with the singing, and I think it's because of my shouty German. That's what I think.
I love like just when it's just like one person or two people and the audience, like it's the audience featuring the musician almost, where like I saw Eric and I talked about this. I saw Dashboard Confessional, and I went to an acoustic set before it was just Chris Carrabba, and he played for like 20 of us, and nice. It was fucking, I mean, like stuff like that you remember your whole life. So like I guarantee you those people remember that hey, you remember that time we saw that, and that was the shit, man. People remember that kind of stuff. And then I guess you also remember like really shitty concerts too. So I guess there's also that as well.
Yeah.
So how can people listen to your music on like YouTube or you?
So I just put out a 6-track EP on Spotify called Pumpkin Pie. It's called, and but it's pie spelled P-I as in like Pythagoras. It's like, play on words. It's a little pop punky. It's a little gospely, a little folky. But that's on Bandcamp as well. It's just Adam Wedd Bandcamp, in all the places. Making the album at the moment, which is going to be out on vinyl and cassette and stuff, but I'm not sure when that's out. It'll either be next year or the year after, but every month or two I'm popping out new singles, and I have a Patreon, but I'm on like Instagram and stuff, so say hi. I'm not big enough to be like, I don't speak to you yet, hopefully that will never happen.
Right.
So can you walk me through Patreon? Like, how is that, like, people, do they sign up, and is it like OnlyFans for musicians in a way where like they pay a monthly subscription?
It is.
Or
I have to say they're very loyal, because the last few months I haven't really done a lot, and I think they just want to help out a brother. It's like because it's tough. Like when you're doing the thing and you're just doing music, it's tough. But yeah, some people can pay $1 a month, and some people could pay 20. And
so it's kind of like, it's not like $19.99 a month. You kind of pay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but my goal is to find 1,000 people at $1 a month, like on average, and then that's a good little thing to make the album you want to make. So that's the goal. Yeah.
Because it used to be, was it like GoFundMe for? I mean, but I guess that was more for like a fundraiser.
GoFundMe or Kickstarter.
Yeah,
people were using.
Right.
What was those guys? The guys that made Super Troopers. I think they used one of those services to make the second movie.
Oh, sweet.
I believe they crowdfunded the entire second movie so that they could make it the way
really
that they
cool.
wanted to do it instead of having to go through a studio that was going to put
awesome.
rules on them.
Yeah, I did my first album, like EP, sorry, like quite a long time ago, and I did crowdfunding, and because of like a bunch of Ed Sheeran's fans like jumped on board, so we did quite well with that, and we got a load of vinyls made and stuff, and but then his fans were like, even with the video actually with us, they're like, why would you have Eddie in the song and not have him sing? I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
Damn it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, yes, all those places.
Okay. So, and I'll make sure to link all of that in as well. So, Adam, what's like the you say you're recording a pretty good bit of music. So, like, what is the future for you kind of looking like?
Yes. So I have another record coming out in March, April, and the goal is to play a bunch of shows in the US again. And like one in New York, LA, maybe Delaware. We'll see. Like even if it's a living
Come
room thing.
through, man.
That'd be fun. And just to promote what I'm doing, and but yeah, next year just to be on the road as much as physically possible without being like off the map for too long. So yeah.
Still want to be present in life.
Yeah, right. I guess that's important.
So I've been writing songs for so many years, and I don't know what the next chapter holds for me in regards of like maybe I'll go back to teaching or whatever. But I know I need to make this album, and it has to be something that stands the test of time, because I may just do one album and then go back to doing singles, because it takes a lot of time, money, blood, sweat, and tears, and so the goal is to make this album that I'm just like will be around for a while. I'll probably be kicking around in the garage like because no one wants to buy it. We'll see. No, people will buy it.
Yes, they will. Yes, they sure will.
Do you record all of your own stuff? Like, do you do it all?
So I record the basic demos here, and then I will go and record the vocals and the guitar with a friend of mine who's a way better engineer than me, and then I'll bring it back and I'll fiddle around with it. In some people's eyes, a bit too much. Like one of my best friends, he produced do you know Placebo? Do you know that band? Yeah.
Yep.
He did their first like little records, and
Okay.
and he doesn't mince his words. Like they call him like the British Steve Albini, if you know who that is. Like he's a producer that was like, what is this? This is shit. And that's pretty much how he behaves with me. But because we go way back, it's okay. And so like I'll overcompress something, and he's like, why did you do that? Don't do that. And I've learned a lot from him. But then I'll get someone else to mix it. So I'm great at the arranging and the writing. Sometimes I write with friends, but ultimately I need someone else to mix it and master it, just because I'm a little too close to it. You guys make music too, right?
So I'm a musician.
Yeah.
Eric is not. Eric, do you have any? I don't want to say any musical talent.
I have no musical talent. I can't hold a beat. I can't dance. No.
So
I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe right. Have you ever tried?
Yeah. Not that hard. No.
So I've been a guitarist my whole life. But I don't play like in bands anymore, just because like with kids, as much as I want to, you know, kids, wife, like podcast and work kind of.
Yeah, for sure.
But like I did our intro, and so I'm currently writing our new intro and outro, and then but I do all of the mixing and mastering for us. And I can tell you, when we first started, I used to over compress the living fuck out of, and it was one of those things where like you don't know.
That's right.
It sounds like good, kind of, and then it's like, and then I would go back and I listened to like some of our older stuff like a week ago, and I was like, oh my god,
sounds so much better now. Yeah.
Woo, yeah.
Yeah, you don't know until you know. You got to kind of live through
Absolutely.
it. I think so.
But I mean, and I can only imagine like with music, like at least when you're just doing like the three of us, right? Like it's like, all right, I just need to get audio for vocals, right? But when you're factoring in like a guitar and like other like parts of that, I don't know. And then it does help to have someone else listen to it. Like it used to drive me. We would record an episode, and then it would take me 30 hours to fucking edit it, because I would go through each piece, and then I would clip things, and then I was like, man, I'm spending way too much time. But I think when it comes to music, it's more important that you kind of almost have that, like, not perfection, but like music is different than I feel like an audio podcast. But I feel your pain. Like it's I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what, it must take something like Adam, if you're doing all this stuff, this is all you, right?
Yeah.
To be able, like, that's like your baby once you record it, right? To be able to like hand it over to somebody else to do stuff with it, it has to take a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah, I've been on a bit of a journey with it. It definitely does, because pre-pandemic, I didn't really produce a lot. I didn't have a Mac or anything. And then it was pandemic, and I read somewhere that Kylie Minogue produced an album in pandemic. I was like, well, if Kylie can do it, I can do it. Sure. And honestly, there's a friend of mine lives in Pennsylvania, and she sends me lyrics, and we've written a bunch of songs together. And she's awesome, but she was even polite to me because I sent her the first productions, and I listened back now, and I'm like, it sounds like I did it, and I was like 5 or something, and now it's been a very steep learning curve, and now I'm really proud of what I'm doing with it, but at the same time, I don't want to lose the fact that I'm a guy with a guitar or the piano. Like, that's where I'm most comfortable. Mm-hmm. And in 2020, I worked in a bunch of through the pandemic, and I would do night reception at this studio. And that year, I wrote 500 plus songs. And in the morning, the cleaners would come in at 5 a.m. and I'd play them the songs. And I knew, like, a couple of times if they were shed some tears, I was like, I think this maybe is good, or it's so bad it's making them cry. And but I was like, the power of like what Neil Young does, or someone with like, just no gimmicks, no tricks, just the power of the song and the voice and the playing. That's kind of what I want to do. But I'm definitely experimenting. There's like, you'll hear there's some big pop punk sounds which I love, and live I just seem to go the other way. Like, I played a sold out show on Saturday, and I was like, well, we'll get the audience shouting the shouty bit, but I'll just be very like folky singer-songwriter, and it seems to work. So I don't know how I'm in my late 30s, and I am still experimenting with who I am. Like, I'm not quite arrived. I'm almost, don't
close. Stop changing. Don't get too comfortable. Yeah. Also, I love to go to a show. How about this? I don't like to go to a show and hear the studio album. I want to hear the live version. I want to hear something different. If I'm going to the show, I've probably listened to these CDs, these albums 100 times each. Yep. I already know what they sound like. Give me something new. I love that you're saying like crowd participation. Fantastic. Talk to me a little bit during the show. That's what I really like.
Yeah, for sure. Adam, that's the thing.
My favorite band to see, and I talk about this all the time, the 1975. They're my favorite band.
Great choice.
And I love going to their shows, to Eric's point, because they're so different. Like, I know what the song is, but the crowd participation really makes the experience.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. No, 100%.
And because I saw something, and someone was bitching, I'm not going to name names, but they were bitching on my Facebook wall about how
it's very bold
about how
oh, I know who it is.
Yeah, of course.
Sorry, go ahead.
About how expensive concert tickets are, right?
Oh yeah.
But concerts aren't like, they're not like a right. You know what I mean? It's like,
it's a luxury.
It's a luxury.
That's true.
You're going to a concert, like, I'm going to spend. I just bought Linkin Park tickets.
Nice.
And My Chemical Romance tickets, and they're like back to back, and they were each like $500 for 2 tickets. But it's one of those things where it's like, I know when I go, that experience is going to be worth it. But I also know that cost is essentially a vacation that I don't get to go on now.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
But you can't bitch that, like, I'm not a big fan of like the ticket, what is it, the pricing that kind of skews now based
like
off
ticket scalpers.
But even like with Ticketmaster, I think they're doing that thing where it's like, hey, these seats are high demand, so the pricing skews and it costs more. I'm not a huge fan of that. I also don't love, and I don't know how you feel about this, all right, I paid, say $100 to come see you, but then I can pay another $100 to take a picture with you.
It's a bit weird, isn't it? I don't like it.
Right?
I know the guy from Matty from 1975. He's got a big issue with that because it feels a bit dirty. I heard him say, if you want to do that, give me the cash. Well, he said to the artist, ask for the cash yourself because you won't do it because it's a dickish thing to do.
Right.
Like,
no one will say, hey, you give me $100.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking about that today. I was driving to work, and I was like, but every band, I feel like for the most part, there's always that VIP package now where it's like, you pay us. You still have to buy your ticket, but then if you pay another like $100, $200, you get to watch us play like a 2-song acoustic set with 150 other
the warm up. It's just
right. And it's like, I guess if you're really into that band,
save that cost sharing, save that for what's that, like Comic-Con, or people that go to and they set up the little stands at the convention centers. Save that price setting or that price for those people.
So I reckon if you do something inventive like a table tennis tournament or like five-a-side soccer match or something before in the venue, that'd be fun. Like there might be injuries.
It's all the same thing. You get the lanyard that means nothing. You get the acoustic set of 2 songs that you've probably like never heard before, you know, which is fine. And then you get like a picture, like meet and greet. Like we did one with Chiodos, and you know, Craig Owens was fucking like, he was the nicest dude, but he was fucking obliterated. And he was like, all right, cool, man. And it was like, all right. And then the set was cool, whatever. But I think the biggest one for me, we paid extra and we got to hang out with Chris. And at that point, like, my wife just started teaching, and I guess Chris Caraba was a teacher for like 10 years. So he talked to us for 15, 20 minutes about that. And the guy taking the picture was like, yo, you guys gotta move. There are people waiting. But it's nice when you get to actually talk, but we had to pay for that. Like, we definitely had to pay for it.
I don't know, because you saying that makes me think, like, this time last year, I did the biggest shows I'd done, and I was opening up for an American band called We Three. They were, like, America's Got Talent finalists. They didn't win, and apparently Simon Cowell was like, well, you're actually amazing, but, you know, it's TV, blah, blah. But they got signed anyway, and they've been playing, like, 800 to 1,000 capacities, and they were doing meet and greet, and their fans were amazing, because some of their fans got my lyrics tattooed on them and stuff, and and they're like, some of their fans were so dedicated, they follow them all the way around the world, and they're like, amazing band, actually, worth checking out. I think you'd enjoy them. They're called We Three. We Three, sure. But like, they did these, like, they're like 2 brothers and a sister. I call them like the Osmonds with Edge. That's what I call them. Okay, all right. I don't know if they're like that, but that's what I call them. But like, they did this meet and greet, and it wasn't too expensive, but they would really hang out, and people were like crying because their music meant so much to people, because it's like people on the fringes, like people in like newly found gay relationships. And I remember playing a show at Dublin Academy, and I was like, it was first on, so no one has to be there to see me, but it was a packed out house, and there's these 2 girls in the front, and it's like their first date, and they sent me an Instagram message afterwards saying, now this is one of your songs is our song because our parents don't accept us. And I was like, oh, that makes me cry a little bit. So meet and greet on that, maybe that's...
you know what it might be? Like, I don't know if I go to a show, and if it's a small band, you know that when you buy like the merchandise or the t-shirts or something, I feel like that money is going to the band. Like maybe it's similar to that, right? Where if I really want to support the band, I would pay the extra money for the meet and greet, but maybe not for like a big band where I know they're already making bank.
We have this venue down at the beach, and Taking Back Sunday played with this band called Citizens. I never heard him before, and I went to that show, and I texted Eric, and I was like, dude, this band is fucking awesome. They played for like an hour, and I was like, I gotta go buy their I want to go buy a t-shirt, and I think my sister bought a t-shirt, my wife, whatever. And but I like that, because when I went back there to buy it, it was like the guitarist who was like, oh, cool, thanks, man. Like, I really appreciate this. Like, knowing that, yes, that is going to help you get to the next show and kind of keep this going. I feel like you go to like one of the big arenas, they got 30 merch tables.
Yes.
And it's like, it's the most, there's five people working, they're slinging those t-shirts out of the boxes. You know, it's not, you don't get
I think I'm wearing is this a Pucifer shirt I'm wearing?
And that was probably... And I bet you that the tickets for that show were probably fucking money.
They were money. I think they were in Atlantic City. Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah. But I like, you can't go to a concert and not get the tour tee. You know,
sure, absolutely.
I am not going to buy a T-shirt that I can get online, but I want that with the tour dates on the back. There's just something about it, right?
That's true. On that note, I studied music when I was a teenager for a bit, and one of the tutors that taught me was in a band, and it's worth checking them out because they've inspired a lot of bands that you listed. I think they're called Ned's Atomic Dustbin. And, Tom DeLonge or Blink-182, like, he cites them, and you'll hear their sound, like, you'll be like, oh my God, this is like fucking Blink. But anyway, I went to see them play at the Roundhouse, which is a cool venue in Camden. I got a free ticket. But then I was like, oh, t-shirt. I'm like, they don't really need the money because they're a band from the 90s, so I think they made money. And I was like, I want a t-shirt for the memory, and who doesn't want a black band t-shirt? Like, that's my whole wardrobe. It was like,
right.
Yeah.
We just saw I guess not just saw, but a few months ago we saw Green Day, and they did
nice.
What was it? Dookie and American Idiot, like in its entirety.
Wow.
they had some cool fucking.
Yeah.
I like Green Day, but like
Yeah.
my wife loves Green Day, but the t-shirts were there's something about, but you're going to pay 35 to 40 US dollars. I don't know what that translates to you.
That's £25. Yeah. It's still expensive,
it's they're expensive, but it's an experience.
Yeah, of course. That's good.
Like you said, Greg, it's a luxury.
It's a luxury, but to touch back on that point, so you
Not
can't
like
bitch about going to
necessity.
right, and but it was so annoying because it seemed like you're entitled to go to a concert, and I'm sorry, but it's a fucking luxury. Where I want to go to Disney World right now, but I don't have the money to go to Disney World right now, so I don't get to go. You know what I mean?
Tell that to my wife, who signed us up to go to Disney World, and I think we're going in February or something.
Oh, neat.
Wait, I thought you were going on a Disney cruise.
We are going on a Disney cruise. Who my mother-in-law, thank God, she's paying for a Disney cruise for us.
And then you're going to Disney World also?
But so then my wife says, and we went a few years ago, and like post-COVID, so like the rules were different. But this was our first time going when we were, since we've not been children, we took our own kids. And we came back and I was like, we can't do that again. That was just so expensive. So she gets around. So she said, oh, well, we're just going to go down to this cruise that my mom is paying for. We'll just go down one day early and go to one of the parks. And I was like, God damn it. And here we are going to Disney again.
It's like my daughter has been really big into The Nightmare Before Christmas. And so she wants to go for Halloween. However, during Halloween, dude, Disney World for a week for like 4 people is still like $7,000. It's fucking ridiculous. You could go, I could go to Europe for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And
you should. You can come stay here for free.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Yeah. And then I can be immersed in a different culture. You know what I mean? Like, I love Disney World.
Get your passport, Greg. We just talked about this.
I know. That's what we were saying. We were actually,
step.
Eric and I were at work, and I was like, I need to get my fucking passport.
I just got mine. Let's go.
I need to do it, and then we'll come out. But Adam, if you want to, once again, just kind of, so where can everyone find your music?
Yes, so you can listen to my music on Spotify or on Bandcamp. They're the 2 main places. Or just reach out and I'll send you a bunch of MP3s because,
straight from the source.
Let's pretend Napster's still going.
Right.
Sure. Some file sharing.
Winamp. Remember Winamp? That was great.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We'll also make sure to link everything
in the show notes.
Yeah. But
thank you,
awesome.
man.
Well, Adam, thank you for taking the time at 10 o'clock your time for
it's the best way to wind down. It's like a little bedtime story.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
absolutely.
Also, it feels like Zach Galifianakis, like the Between Two Ferns. I feel like Between Two Beards is great. Like,
yeah, there you go.
Great beards. I'm very jealous.
I think you might have just named the episode.
There you go. Yes, that's it.
Adam Wedd, Between Two Beards.
You know what? And I'll tell you what, man. The naming of the episode normally fucking drives me crazy. So you just saved me some headache.
Sick.
But Adam, thank you again.
Pleasure.
Yes.
I'm Greg.
And I'm Eric.
And we are the Daddies. Thank you for listening.